Howdy neighbors, welcome back to the channel. Good to be back in the saddle here and gonna be doing a video in support of our upcoming workshop, which is Unlock Your Ear, Play What You Hear, August 24th from 5 to 7 Eastern Time. And this is the year 2025. And so it's gonna be really concentrating on helping folks connect their inner musical voice, kind of that hummy place, with the mandolin fingerboard. And we're gonna be doing this with our good old internal repertoire. All right, so the picking and the singing really go together. And I would offer that if you're still using tab, stop immediately. It's gonna be the best thing that you can do for your playing, in my opinion, especially for bluegrass, old-time country folk music. So get off the tab completely, because that's just gonna slow your ear down. It's gonna glue you to the paper, all right? Many of y'all are already past that, and congratulations for making that somewhat challenging transition. So we've talked a little bit on the channel about finding where you can sing, okay? So it's really important to spend that hard time figuring out how to connect your voice with your mandolin. You know, so if you're a fellow, you might be down here a little bit, you know, be able to hit that low G, and then to be able to sing a simple scale, just going like do, 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 do. You can do your do, right? It means do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. If you're a lady, you got to figure out where that higher pitch is going to start for your voice. It might be the D string, you might look at D, 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 or an A, up there, da, 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 da. Because being able to find the resonance with your voice and what note you're playing on the mandolin is going to be crucial to unlocking your ear, so you can play what you can hear on the inside and get that out on your mandolin, okay? So, starting with the simplest of the simple songs. You know, some people are a lot of times like, hey, I want to learn how to improvise, or I want to learn how to play better. It's like, okay, you know, this is a multi-pronged, multifaceted concept about how to improve your practice that can pair well with your discipline, your coaching discipline, about how to organize your practice. And if you're not getting 1/3 every day, or most days, with your internal repertoire, then I would encourage you to do that. A lot of people don't want to do this. Some people get along better with the grunt work around the scales and the patterns and the exercises, all that kind of stuff, and transposing. But if you can't play the easy stuff in G and an A, then how are we going to play the hard stuff? So you need to learn to connect your inner voice with the music you can sing into the mandolin fingerboard. And then the next step, so you got the big old list of simple songs, you know, right here. May I have a little lamb, twinkle, twinkle, little star, coming around the mountain, happy birthday, on down the line there. And you start in G, just picking out the simple melody, you know, and we're going to get to a little bit more of what we were talking about before about, you know, connecting the voice, but just being able to pick out those simple melodies with the vocal phrasing. Mary had a little lamb, and so you hold that little lamb, then add your shuffle, which is not as easy as you might think it is to do. You got to be able to do that before you can have the solid foundation to move on from there. So you get the whole list like that, transposing from G to A, and then the B flat, and then you go back through the whole list to find your double stops. Okay, this is a place where the old double stop scale can come in very handy. Descending. And then getting into a little tremolo. Because what we need to understand from this is that most of the melodies are going to be using just the most important notes in the scale, you know, like the first note in the scale. Being able to harmonize that with double stops is very important. Being able to go down the scale, up 4 notes, and then making the transition from the D and the A string. But before we do, please like and subscribe. Go ahead and hit that little bell there for the notifications, and you'll get all the good stuff from Noya Mountain Music. Thank you. And please consider becoming a patron on patreon.com/Noya Mountain Music. Up to the higher notes on the A and the E string, like if you're doing You're My Sunshine. You make me happy when skies are gray. So this is a lot of what intermediate mandolin is all about. Playing beginner mandolin is just picking out your simple melodies. Adding yourself. Working with the strum machine, etc. And then your intermediate mandolin is going to be putting that harmony to it. what I'm saying in this video is that it's so important for you to spend that hacking time figuring out how to do this. This can be frustrating at first, but if you're working on it a little bit every day, it's going to unlock your ear. And then being able to transpose from key to key, starting with G and A and going up to B flat. Once you can play in a closed position, then you can play all over the neck. But it's not especially easy to pick that stuff out at first. And some people find that it's too challenging and they don't want to do it. But if you just start with the easy stuff, it's going to make all the difference. Okay? So we're unlocking our ear, what we can hear on the inside. We've known these songs, these melodies, these simple nursery rhyme tunes our whole life. Okay, so you just start with the easy stuff. Be like, okay, I can kind of hear that Mary Had a Little Lamb goes da 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 da. Well, okay, you need to tune that in with your chords. You strum your chord and see if you can find that. Where is it? Mary had, if you got a lower voice, Mary had a little lamb. Picking out your chords, little lamb, little lamb. With the folky stuff, it's usually going to be a 1, 4, and a 5, so G, C, and D, of course. It's important to be able to learn how to hear those chord changes as you're going along. So if you're hacking out the chords as you're finding the melody, that's going to be a really good thing to do. And again, with the ladies, it might be a little bit higher. So you go to the chord of D. Maybe that's too high. Maybe we go to A. So you feel where you can find that resonance. And the cool thing about those nursery rhyme tunes is that they're going to teach you what it sounds like when, for instance, with Mary Had the Lamb, a melody starts on the major third. Okay, so if we're in the key of A, because it's like, okay, so you think it's going to start on the first note in the scale if you're in A, but it doesn't always. It's almost always going to start on the first note, the third note, or the fifth note. And this is part of unlocking the ear. You need to know what it sounds like when you're in the key of A, when the melody is on the third note in the scale. Okay, that's one of the beautiful things that Mary Had a Lamb can teach you. All right. So, since I'm giving that little piece of information, you can just go right to it. 4th fret of the A. You can walk up the scale. 0, 2, 4 on the A string. And you're starting there, okay? You need to be able to connect that with your voice. Mary had a little lamb. So that interval there, da, da, it's a happy interval. It's what makes the major chord major, the major third. Da, da, if you make a minor chord, it sounds sad because that happy major third interval is not there. Mary had a little lamb, little lamb, little lamb. Makes it all sad because that happy major third, the honey note, is not there. Okay, so getting familiar with what the arpeggios sound like. 1, 3, 5, 1. That could be a big stretch to go from the low A to the high. You gotta flip into your falsetto a lot of times if you're having a lower voice. Okay, but the main point of this is you gotta be able to feel what that interval sounds like. If you're on the 1 in your mind, you got to be able to know, okay, da, 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 da. That's your major arpeggio. Do, 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 do. And then be able to be like, okay, what does a 5th sound like? Are we got the 1 and then the 5? And if you're experimenting with your voice, fellas, if you got a lower voice, you might need a lower string, so you'd be on the D string. 1, 5, 1. This is a crucial foundational element for your ability to unlock your ear. 1, 5, 1. That's where the bass plays. You know, the bass is usually playing the 1s and the 5s. Boom, 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 boom. So that's a clue into how that 5th sounds. All right. So you got your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. See if you can go from your 1 to the 5, 5, and just do that for a little bit. Get used to what that sounds like as you're singing or humming along. 1, 5, 1, 1, 5, 1. Then do that with a third. 1, 3, 1, 1, 3, 1. You can also do this out of your chop chord. All right, so you got your 3-finger chop chord there. Your ring finger is going to be your root, of course. That's the 1, and then your first finger note in the chord, 4th fret of the D, is going to be your 3. 3. So just play around with those 2 notes. 1, 3, 1, 3, 1, 3, 1, 3, 1, 3, 1, 3, and humming it as you're doing it. And then go to the 5th. Get that sound in your head. 3, 5, 3. 3, 5, 3, 5, 3, 5, 5, 3, 5. You don't have to say the numbers, just say the pitch. So do, 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 and then go from the fifth to the high root, the fifth fret of the A. 5, 1, 5, 1, 5, 1. And so one of the songs on the simple songs list is Jeopardy, and that can teach you what the sound is with the fifth. Do, 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 do. That's right in your chop chord. All right, so if you can hear that, that's going to help you understand what that fifth sound is all about. Do, 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 do. And you can call it the intervals if you like. 5, 1, 5, 5, 1, 5. Then get the 3 in there. 5, 3, 5, 5, 3, 5, 1, 3, 5, 1, 5, 3, 1. Okay, so if you can start to get the hang of what those intervals feel like, it's going to make all of this hacking of the simple songs, the internal repertoire, so much easier. Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star is a great teacher tune. Again, it's working with that fifth interval. So if you're playing this out of the chop chord, you get your little finger, and it's not the easiest thing to do, but it starts off twinkle, twinkle. Again, that's the 1 to the 5 interval. 1, 1, 5, 5. Then you got your 6th note when it goes to the G chord, the 4 chord. 6, 6, 5. Then walking that down the scale. 4, 4, 3, 3. You get the 2, which you can get on the G string, 9th fret of the G. 2, 2, 1, or just walking on down the D string. 5, 5, 4, 4, 2, 2, open. Okay, this is going to help you unlock your ear. And then, when you take that to the next level, you're starting to find your double stops, okay? So the double stops work when you have a little bit more comfortability with understanding what arpeggio note is on top of the melody note. Usually with this kind of bluegrass linear harmony, the lead note's going to be on the bottom. That's going to draw the ear to that melody note, and the harmony's going to be on top. So if you're doing the Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, double stops, you got your root, 7th fret of the G playing out of the chop chord. That's your twinkle. So your harmony note is going to be the next arpeggio note up. It's going to be the 4th fret of the D. All right, so that's your first double stop. All right, you get your 1 and your 3, and that creates the double stop harmony sound. Your next melody note is going to be on the 7th fret of the D. That's an A note. Your next arpeggio note up in the chord is going to be the 5th fret of the A. All right, so those are your first 2 double stops of Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. Twinkle, twinkle, and then just following your ear from there. So you've got to learn what the chords are so you can know what the next arpeggio note up is. Okay, so the 3rd note in the melody is going to be a B note, and you get that on your 9th fret of the D. And then now you're going to be in the chord of G, so the next arpeggio note up is going to be the 5th fret of the A. So it can be very useful to have the infinity pattern underneath your fingers. So that will inform you where to go when your melody note is going to be that B note on the D string. The harmony note above it, the next arpeggio note up, is going to be the A string, 5th fret. It's a D note, all right? So when you have that infinity pattern underneath your fingers, that's going to help out a lot when you're looking for that next double stop note. So if your ring finger's on the 9th fret of the D, you know that the next note in the sequence of the infinity pattern is going to be the 5th fret of the A. So there's your double stop right there. So now you got your first 3 notes. And then coming back to your melody note in the chord of D, again, you got to have your chords underneath your belt there. 7th fret of the D and the 5th fret of the A. All right. And then you can walk down the melody scale, starting on the 5th fret of the D, 2nd fret of the A. That's the how I wonder what you are. Now, this is an interesting place where our concept of the linear harmony can change, because a lot of times you're going to want to go to Occam's razor, which is just the easiest thing to do. It's going to make the best sound. So in this case, your melody note is 5th fret of the D. The harmony note is the B note, 2nd fret of the A. How I, then the melody note is going to go down to the 4th fret of the D. And then since we're not playing out of the chord anymore, you're going to need to know that your open position arpeggio. That's why it's so crucially important to know how to get your arpeggios in many different places on the mandolin. We can get them out of our chord, or we can get them open. And like I just played there, I didn't start it on the root, I started it on the low 5, which is 2nd fret of the G. But getting your D arpeggio, come out of the D, how I, down at the 4th fret of the D, the open A, wonder. And now your next melody note is going to be the 2nd fret of the D. Open A would be your arpeggio note on top of that, not geographically, but tonally, the pitch is higher. What you, and the last note, are. So these simple internal repertoire tunes are going to help unlock your ear. And that way, you'll be able to start to recognize when a melody starts on a 1, 3, or a 5, and then to build on that in the intermediate level to be able to find your next arpeggio note up, which is always going to be right there in the arpeggio. It's a fairly simple system, but you need to be working it every day. And I encourage you highly to use this as a very crucially important part of your daily 3 pillars of practice. All right, got your grunt work, internal repertoire, but working on it in a systematic way. Working down this big list of simple tunes, 1 tune a day, picking out the simple melody, maybe getting a little shuffle going, picking out the chords, then transposing it to A, super crucial practice. Then you take it the next step, which is harder, getting it into B flat, or you could do G sharp. I used to be more on G sharp, now I'm more on B flat, because people don't play too much in G sharp. But you have to have that transposition practice building every day, but don't overwhelm yourself. Just be like, okay, I'm gonna find my chords and my melody to Twinkle Twinkle Little Star or Mary Had a Little Lamb in the very beginning. Pick it out in G, get your vocal melody, your vocal phrasing, get your chords going, maybe get a little shuffle going, take it to A, take it to B flat, pick that out, learn the personalities of the different keys and the chords. And then when you get to the bottom of the list, then come through on the 2nd month and start to pick out your double stops. All right, that's our lesson for the day here, neighbors. The old song and dance, gotta get that music that has been on the hard drive since we were, babies, basically. Got to get that online, so to speak, before the other stuff is going to flow easily, because we can overwhelm ourselves having to learn, all the 40 billion different, bluegrass melodies, but the building blocks of them are going to be coming more into focus if we can really get the fundamentals of the harmonic structure of the arpeggio connected to our voice to be able to flow that way. And to be able to know what the 3rd sounds like, to know what the 5th sounds like, to know what those interval jumps feel. And if you struggle with it at first, that is totally normal. It's totally normal. Babies start to mumble before they can speak clearly. So give yourself some grace with that. Super important to be gentle with yourself as you're cultivating the good Koshi discipline. Koshi means strong in Shipibo. To stick with it, to stay with it, and to get the practice as regular as you can. It's hard to practice every single day, but if you don't overwhelm yourself with, I gotta get an hour in every day, or I gotta get 30 minutes in every day, 15 minutes is something that you're like, okay, I can do 15 minutes. And maybe you're a morning person, maybe you're an evening person. Find something that works with your routine the best you can. And that's all for today, neighbors. I encourage y'all to join us on the workshop if you'd like to, and we'll see you on the next one. Oh yeah, and if you'd like to support this work that we're doing here, please like and subscribe on the channel here, and think about becoming a Patreon supporter at patreon.com/Noya Mountain Music. And at the different tiers, we've got free workshops for folks who are in the upper tiers there, the Monroe Style Workshop, the Monroe Jam Lab, and the monthly Noya Mountain Music Workshop, which is what I've been talking about on this video. So please think about that. Many thanks to all the folks who help us make these videos. We love sharing the music and want to continue doing it. And if you'd like to leave a little comment to say, hey, I'm really curious about learning about this or that, I would love that because I want to help however I can. So I hope you're having a beautiful summer day, and we'll catch you on the next one, neighbors.